Lesson 42, writing sentences correctly. All right, boys and girls, the cool thing about Unit 6 is it's all about capitalization, punctuation, and spelling. Now, this is all things that we've done previously. So this last lesson that this last unit that we're going to be doing is going to be all review. Okay, so when you write, you must show where the sentence begins and ends. That's obviously a punctuation, right? So you begin every sentence with a capital letter and end every sentence with a punctuation mark. You guys remember with the punctuation marks, right? The end punctuation you use depends on the kind of sentence you write. If you end a declarative sentence with a period, right? Declarative is just making a statement. You end an interrogative sentence with a question. That's a question, right? Interrogative. You end an exclamatory sentence with an exclamation mark, and you end an imperative sentence with a period. Read this article about earthquakes. Remember, an imperative sentence gives an action. When you rewrite a run-on sentence as two separate sentences, be sure to use capital letters and end punctuation marks correctly. So here's a run-on sentence. Can earthquakes be predicted? Scientists are working on a warning system. So make sure that you put the proper punctuation. Can earthquakes be predicted? That's a question mark. Scientists are working on a warning system, period. All right, practice A. Read each item. Write correct or incorrect to tell whether the sentence or sentences are written correctly. Number 1. Most earthquakes occur under the sea. How lucky that is. And that is correct, right? There's proper punctuation. This is a declarative sentence. This is an exclamatory sentence, so this one is correct. Number 2, why do you say that? There's something missing here. There's no question mark, right? So this one would be incorrect. Okay, you're going to complete the rest of practice A. Practice B. Write these sentences correctly. Use capital letters and the correct end punctuation marks. Write each run-on sentence as two sentences. All right, so this one says, scientists use a Richter scale to measure the strength of earthquakes. Okay, that's just one sentence, right? It's not a run-on sentence. So what do we need to do here? Well, first, we need to capitalize the S, okay? Scientists use a Richter scale to measure the strength of earthquakes, and there's our punctuation is missing. That would be a period. That's just a declarative sentence. I'm doing this just for the sake of time, making the corrections on the sentence, but you need to write out the sentence, okay? Number 2, look at this chart of measurements. The scale goes from 0 to 10. Now, this is a run-on sentence, and remember we talked about knowing when it's a run-on sentence when you kind of pause already. Look at this chart of measurements. The scale goes from 0 to 10. You see how I paused right around here? So this is where I need to put a period, right? Now, right here, I need to capitalize look, or the L. And since I put a period here, then that means the T gets capitalized, right? So it would be look at this chart of measurements, period, capital T. The scale goes from 0 to 10. Now I need to add punctuation here. Earthquakes below 5 usually don't cause much damage. All right, so you are capitalizing the E for earthquakes, beginning the sentence, and you're putting a period, okay? All right, so practice C. Melissa wrote this report about the San Francisco earthquake. 4 sentences in the report are missing capital letters. So 4 sentences. 8 sentences are missing end marks, so punctuation marks. Find the mistakes and use the proofreading marks in the box to correct them. So for a total of 12 mistakes, right? Okay. On April 18th, 1906, the sun had just risen. Most people in San Francisco were asleep. Wait a minute. That totally was a run-on sentence, right? On April 18th, 1906, the sun had just risen. Period. That should be a period right here. Then you capitalize M for most. So that would be 1 capital letter and punctuation right there, right? So that's 2. We already found 2 of the 12. Most people in San Francisco were asleep, period. Some were getting ready for work, period. Great. Suddenly, a loud roar filled the air. The ground was shaking and buildings and power lines were falling. What was happening? a huge earthquake was tearing the city apart. Ah, right here. What was happening? Question mark, right? As a correction. A huge earthquake was tearing the city apart, period. Gas poured out of broken gas lines. Fires broke out everywhere. How disastrous they would be. Oh, why weren't the fires put out? The water lines had broken too. Whoa, this whole paragraph here. Whew, that is run on central, huh? So, fires broke out everywhere, period. So that would be punctuation. How disastrous they would be. Period. That one could be a period, or you can even put an exclamation mark, right? So there's another punctuation. Why weren't the fires put out? That's a question. Therefore, right here, you are putting a question mark. All right, so far we have found 6 mistakes. So we need 6 more, okay? Go ahead, 4th grade. All right, and practice D. Read each explanation below about earthquake safety. Then write a statement, command, exclamation, or question you might say to respond to each explanation. The word in parentheses tells what kind of sentence to write. The first one is done for you. Number 1, earthquakes can be dangerous. Fortunately, there are some important steps you can take to reduce the danger. So this one is asking you to make a question. So what steps can I take to reduce the danger? So the question mark. All right, number 2, identify the danger zones in your house. These include areas with windows, tall furniture, and heavy objects. These things are dangerous during an earthquake. All right, so now you're writing a sentence that's an exclamation point. So let's see, these include areas with window. The things are dangerous during an earthquake. You can say something like, you'd better hurry out. See, there's my exclamation. Okay. You should be aware of safe spots, such as a sturdy desk, sturdy vocabulary word, or a table in a room. They provide cover from falling objects. So now you're asking a question. You should be aware, so you can say, let's say, they provide, where should I go afterwards? Okay, where should I go afterwards? Okay. All right. So this is lesson 42, writing sentences correctly.